back to this bargaining house style issue. In a nutshell, are they wanting to be able to determine staffing levels and class size without the input of the schools themselves?
No, it would be negotiated. At the negotiation table, we would negotiate class size at the negotiations table. While we negotiate the rest of the contract, we would negotiate assignments.
When will we know if that's going to be the case, Barb?
After we've probably finished negotiations.
For this year?
Yeah, last year, it was at the very end of the session. If you remember, it was the very, very end of the session, and the governor had it on his desk for, what, can he have bills on his desk for 10 days before he, is that what it is? Before he vetoes them, and he was actually out of state when it was laid on his desk. He came back very early from being out of state on a governor's trip to veto the bill, and there wasn't a lot of certainty that he would veto the bill. So
this hasn't passed.
It hasn't passed. It came as close as being vetoed by the governor last year, and it looks like it'll be a rewrite with probably more put on it. If you remember, it sort of slid in with some other language. It was very, very quiet.
The collective bargaining bill that came in at the end.
But the problem I see is if they become mandatory subject to bargaining instead of permissive, we could be at the bargaining table for a long, long time.
Yep.
I mean, it would almost be, it could be a full-time job, and we aren't either full-time people.
Well, and I think like the leaves of absence, for instance, that's including cash payments for accumulated leaves. So the mandatory language could be cash payments for leaves of absence. That might just be the statement, and what we'd be negotiating is what the cash payment was, which makes it even scarier, because it wouldn't be that we could even say, no, we're not going to, because remember, with mandatory language, we can negotiate it, but we never have to agree to have it in the contract. You know, but once we ever agree to it, then we're literally stuck with what we're going to do with it. But what was scary about this, and with insurance, you know, it would have said insurance to include the determination of the health insurance carrier. So we'd be negotiating whether it was principally Blue Cross Blue Shield or not the coverage, but the actual carrier. And the language and the way it was written was very difficult. It really...
The schools aren't the only ones fighting this. I mean, the professional developers of Iowa and everybody else is out there opposed to this. So they'll be watching that.
ASPEN and ISDA were very huge supporters of it. ISDA is a huge supporter of, as you can imagine, the language.